Welcome to the VSS 24, the Veteran Social Summit. My name is John Krotec. I'm a veteran of the United States Army 4th Infantry Division. I served in the late 80s, and I appreciate y'all out there who are actually veterans yourselves. And I mean that. You've probably heard it a million times, but I'm a brother. So thank you. But before we get going here, my presentation today, I just wanted to play a very short clip from a 1989 movie called Field of Dreams. Now, I'm just planting the seeds here. So pick up on this clip, bank it, and by the time we get to the end of this presentation, you're going to know exactly where it fits in. Also, before we get started, I realize your time is valuable. I'm going to try to be as concise and as short as I can be, but I would suggest maybe pick up a notepad or record this. Take some notes. I think you're going to get some good information out of this. Let's go ahead and watch the clip. Thank you.
If you build it, he will come.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the movie Field of Dreams. I just want to say, let's get started. I started my first business in 1991, not long after I'd gotten out of the military. And at that time, it was pretty much the dark ages of the digital age, World Wide Web, anyways. And there weren't many services or not a lot of help back then for veterans to get off the ground. So consider yourself privileged and honored to at least have some tools and some people like myself that can come out of the woodwork from time to time and impart to you some good knowledge and a few tips. Now, I sold backpacking and camping gear in Florida, climbing gear too, for 23 years. And 22 of those 23 years, we made a profit. The only year that we did not was in 2007 when the bottom fell out of the mortgage industry. And a lot of people weren't spending tens of thousands of dollars to go on adventure trips or just traveling in general. Pretty much shut us down. It hurt us with revenue flow right off the bat, but we were able to adapt and overcome. Now, I built my first website. Actually, I didn't build it. An employee of mine at the time built my first website in 1992. It was rudimentary at best. We really had no plan. We just did it. We wanted to be innovative. We wanted to be keeping up with the times, and we wanted to have a website. There was no plan to it. There was no sales. There was no products being sold on it. It was basically just, hey, look at us. We're here. In fact, the most amazing thing about it was the jungle sounds that we had coded into the website. We just thought that was really cool. So I kind of just built it. Didn't expect anything. It wasn't this moniker behind me or the statement right here, build it and they will come, which we hear so much about today. So we'll fast forward to current times. And as you all know, probably already found out, there are lots and lots and lots of website developers out there. They charge basic fees sometimes just to get a page up, and then it can get into things more elaborate, like tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But I'm sure that we've all heard the claim or the mantra from many of them that if you build it, if you buy your domain and we build your web page or website, they will come. In fact, I've heard this declaration from a number of website builders, and over the years. And that's not what actually happened. And we're going to get into that. These potential customers and clients are the ones that all of us are seeking when we enter the internet or when we put a website out on the World Wide Web. The impression that, again, is if we build it, they will come. Make it go live, that they will come. And it's going to immediately shoot us up to super business stardom. Our businesses are going to make massive amounts of money and riches beyond our wildest dreams. Now, I'm sure some of you have too, but I've been there and I've done that on many different occasions. Found a developer, designed a web page, bought the domain, and then made it go live, and then nothing. We may have had a trickle of sales right off the bat, but sometimes not. And for the most part, it was crickets. And this is recently. This is just in 2015, 2016, and even on into 2008, 17 and 18. So I'm thinking, what's the deal with that? Why does that happen? Why do we keep feeling like we're just a check? We're just a check box by most of the developers we work with. And then once the contract runs out, we mutually move on. Now, that's frustrating to say the least, and over time can be quite expensive. So I'll say here directly, the myth, the social tool myth, build it, your website, and they will come, is just a myth. You need to really pay close attention to that because you're going to continue to hear that from website developers out there. So there's a lot more to it. So this is a time to grab your pad of paper or your note cards and flip the switch if you want to record this. And I want you to think about these things before you build your website. And these things are not rocket science. These particular steps or this particular process is not new. This is what most companies have to do to build any company, whether you're on the internet or not. Number one, create your vision. What's your product? What's your service? And we're not going to go into too much detail now. I just want you to jot them down. This might reinforce what you've already been through. Number two, write your mission statement. Make it brief as you can, but make it all encompassing as well. That's a task. That'll give you some time to actually sit down and think about it. Think with air quotes around it. Think about it. And then develop a business, maybe even a basic business plan, because you can change it as you go along. But like I say, these are the basic requirements of any business. Who are you? What it is? How do you do it? What do you do? What are the benchmarks that you want to reach? And how will you get there? What's the plan? And I said a little bit earlier that we had no plan. And that's why with our first website way back when, 1991, 92, and that's why all it did was sit on the internet and pipe in jungle music. Not a very good source of revenue, but just the same, we were innovative and we did have a website. Now comes the stuff that you really need to dig into before you even think about building a website. Or you could actually, you could have a dual track here. This could also give you some ideas what you want the website to look at. But think about your brand. Think about your logo. Think about how you want to look and how you want to portray yourself to the business world and to your potential clients. This is going to take some thought. How are you going to differentiate yourself from all the competition? You may not have competition, but you still want to make sure that people pay attention and take notice. Remember how we talked about the vision? The vision is very important. How do you take that vision and how do you put that into a website format, into a visual and audio type of website? How do you do that? How do you and you know what? This is the time that these early stages when you should be or actually need to be a lot more cerebral. Be creative, be cerebral in that approach. Don't rush this. And if you take your time and you build it slowly, brick by brick, then it will pay dividends for you once you launch that website. Of course, determining who your customers are is paramount to finding any kind of success. If you don't reach the right customers, then you're never going to do or sell or have any success. So determine early on during that formative stage, who are your customers? Who's your audience? Who do you want to reach? What are you selling them and who will buy from you? Write all this down. Give it some serious thought. Change it if you have to, but just keep working on it. Keep putting that foundation down. And we haven't even gotten close to the website yet. We're talking about vision, mission statement, business plan, branding, messaging, audience. There's a lot more to that. I didn't think about any of this when we were building the website the first time. Now, what is your message? What do they need to know about you? Your products, your service? What do you need to know about them? What's the benefit to them if they do business with you? What makes your company better than the competition? All these questions. These require clear thought, thinking, brain power. If you don't do this, you're going to find hiccups down the road. Think about that. So now comes a very important part that no website development company ever talked to me about. Now, they talked to me about a budget, but only a budget for their website development, the deliverables. This payment goes here. This is what we're going to deliver. And you make these payments out as you start to develop, as they start to build your website. Now, they're not talking about the budget that you have for after the website is built, the domain is bought, and it's launched. The website company that talks about a budget for marketing is a website company that understands business. And this is kind of interesting because I've paid particular attention to this in the last few years, especially when I've dealt with people in digital services products. During the conversation, I'll ask them, wow, that contract sounds great. You have a heck of a reputation. I like the product that you build. Now, do me a favor. This is $130,000 contract. Tell me how I'm going to pay for it. And I'm not trying to be facetious or smartass. I want that company to tell me how I'm going to be able to pay that $10,000 or $11,000 a month. How am I going to pay for that? You know, I can pay the contract to build the website, but how would I pay for that? How can I use your product, your service to make money for my company? And I got to tell you, I have yet to meet, well, that's not true. I've met one, the person that we're working with now for website development. I have yet to meet a website developer anywhere in the past that was able to answer that question. And that's one thing that helps them to understand what their product is. And if they can give you testimonials or if they can give you actual numbers, this is how our website made X amount of dollars for this company and this is how we did it. Those are the things that you as a business owner in the digital world needs to see. If they can't answer that question, if they can't give you a basic answer, how you're going to be able to pay for their website development contract, then maybe you want to just move on. Maybe you want to look for another company to work with. So you contract, you build the site, all these things that we went over, you have set in stone, or maybe not set in stone, but you have an idea of what it's going to look like. And then execute, that plan. Go ahead, build it, launch it, what's working, what's not, adapt and overcome. Make the changes and do it again till you reach what I call corporate flow state. That's another concept for another time, but it has to do with everything's working. The website's up, you're making sales, you're starting to increase your sales. This happens, you have to change it to make this happen. But you're actually in what I call this business corporate flow state where everything is really working. Now, at first, you might just be surviving. You might be making just enough cash flow to survive. But what I'm talking about is you want to move into the thriving type of situation where you're actually making money. Money is what makes the business world go round. It's what makes everything just fall into place. So there you have it. Vision, mission, business plan, branding, messaging, um, budgeting, website development, marketing, and then adapting, building it, executing it, and then adapting and overcoming the challenges that you are faced with, which all of us are. And then an important thing that I think it's that we should think about too when we're developing that plan once it gets launched, your website, is think about the benchmarks that you reach in a certain time frame. What is it you're shooting for? How many customers? How many widgets do you want to sell? Do you want to put an extra page on your website? Think about the different benchmarks and make some. Have benchmarks. Don't just go out there like a loose cannon and throw this website up without having any benchmarks. Those are the only way that you're going to be able to figure out if you're having any success at all. Let me think of a couple more things. So probably the most difficult thing for any of us to do as a business owner is have patience to make sure that things start to fall into place, that you really actually start to make money. And when there's a playing field of dozens and hundreds and thousands and even millions of competitors at time, and because of the money that we have, it's not finite, especially if we're not making any. You don't want to give up. You want to keep moving forward. You want to be innovative. And there's a quote that I used to have at my bricks and mortar store that I used to look up at it like every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And it used to say, or it says, the field of victory is littered with the bodies of those who gave up at the last trumpet. And that's what you don't want to or desire to become, is the victim of the last trumpet. You're just about there and you give up. I can assure you, if you keep going, if you don't give up, you will find success. And it may lead in another direction you never even thought of. So this multi-billionaire that I still know, we're still good friends, told me one time when I was in a really dark place, he said to me, John, I know you. I'm going to give you 2 words. And remember these words when your darkest place. Keep going. There is always a solution. There's always a place that you can go to. So remember, building your own Field of Dreams website takes time. Be patient. Believe in the process. It will work. You're going to be led in the right direction. May not be the direction you think that it is, but it will come. You have to give it a chance. Persevere. Build it and do a few more things, and they will come. I wish you well on your road to finding success in whatever business that it is that you have. And thank you very much for attending the virtual BSS 24. Thank you very much.